Well, we already knew this was happening, but now over 100 journalists have admitted they were forced to do pro-Israel PR, essentially. This comes from Owen Jones, Battle Lines. He was actually one of the journalists that signed this letter, but he says that over 300 journalists, over 300 journalists and media professionals have written a letter to the Director General of the BBC, Tim Davie, complaining that the corporation has become a mouthpiece for Israel. In the letter, they say, we're writing to express our concerns over opaque editorial decisions and censorship at the BBC on the reporting of Israel-Palestine. We believe the refusal to broadcast the documentary Gaza, Medics Under Fire is just one in a long line of agenda-driven decisions. It demonstrates once again that the BBC is not reporting without fear or favor when it comes to Israel. They go on to say, we're not asking the BBC to take a side. We're asking to be allowed to do our jobs in delivering facts transparently with due context. For many of us, our efforts have been frustrated by opaque decisions made at senior levels of the BBC without discussion or explanation. Our failures impact audiences. As an organization, we have not offered any significant analysis of the UK government's involvement in the war on Palestinians. We have failed to report on weapons sales or their legal implications. These stories have instead been broken by the BBC's competitors. It goes on to say, this hasn't been by accident, rather by design. Much of the BBC's coverage in this arena is defined by anti-Palestinian racism. The inconsistent manner in which guidance is applied draws into focus the role of Sir Robbie Gibb on the BBC's board and BBC's editorial standards committee. We're concerned that an individual with close ties to the Jewish Chronicle, an outlet that has repeatedly published anti-Palestinian and often racist content, has a say in the BBC's editorial decisions in any capacity, including the decision not to broadcast Gaza, Medics Under Fire. This conflict of interest highlights a double standard for BBC content makers who have themselves experienced censorship in the name of impartiality. In some instances, staff have been accused of having an agenda because they have posted news articles critical of the Israeli government on their social media. By comparison, Gibb remains in an influential post with little transparency regarding his decisions, despite his ideological leanings being well known. We can no longer ask license fee payers to overlook Gibb's ideological allegiances. So they go on to say, there has been, despite these failings, when they're listing all of the failings of the BBC and saying, despite these failings, there's been a major shift within public discourse in recent months. Increasingly, the scale of Israel's crimes against the Palestinians are being understood by the public as well as many of our parliamentarians. The BBC's editorial decisions seem increasingly out of step with reality. Yeah, because they're saying that their outlet is being controlled by somebody with an agenda, or maybe multiple people with an agenda. This isn't really, I think, news to us. We've been seeing this and talking about it over and over, but it's considered anti-Semitic to call it out. It's been called conspiratorial to call it out. But I want to play for you just a couple of clips of people calling this out, prominent people calling this out. This is Dwight Howard, former NBA basketball player, talking about what happened to him when he posted on social media, Free Palestine.
I tweeted Free Palestine, and I dang near got kicked out the league for it. And I'm like trying to figure out why.
4 years old, man.
So I tweet Free Palestine. Less than 10 minutes after I tweet that, I get a call from the commissioner of the NBA.
Stop it.
Agents, people working with my foundation at the time, Texas, you gotta erase this tweet. You gotta take this down. You're gonna get it. I'm like, what did I do that was so bad?
Can somebody explain to me?
Yeah, can somebody explain?
Yeah, I mean, so it's not just the media that is clearly under influence, but you've got athletes that are in the NBA and they're being told what they can and cannot say because powers that be don't want to hear it for whatever reason. It's not transparent to us. It's totally and completely opaque. Here's Joe Rogan actually talking about it on his show. It's nice to see big names talking about things like this. And it just goes to show that the public perception is completely shifted on this.
That whole thing where kicking people out of Palestine is such an inconvenient story today. When people are talking about Israel and Palestine and the conflict, they do not like talking about what happened in 1948.
Yeah, and I think it's important. Like I think for us to reach some kind of peace, which is really hard to talk about when you see what's happening in Gaza, even yesterday,
the people that were waiting for food got bombed. It's insane, and no one wants to talk about it.
Right, but if you
do talk about it, you're anti-Semitic, which is so strange. Like I don't know how they've wrangled that.
It's been hard for me in tech because like probably the only prominent Palestinian in tech that is talking about it, and so that's.
Do you get pushback?
Oh, of course. Lots of
what do
pushback.
people say to you?
Anti-Semitic.
How is it anti-Semitic?
I criticize the state of Israel. Our position, every moderate Palestinian that I know, their position is like two-state solution. We need the emergence of the state of Palestine, and that's the best way to ending the occupation is the best way to guarantee peace and security even for Israelis.
Yeah, it's nice to see Joe Rogan talking about this, but in tech, so you're seeing it in the news media, you're seeing it with athletes, you're hearing about it in tech. There's just a lot of censorship, and the narrative is being completely controlled in favor of Israel. Bernie Sanders is calling this out, and he has tweeted this saying, he says here on his X profile, the American people understand that Netanyahu's barbaric war against the Palestinian people is grossly immoral and in violation of international law. When will the Democratic leadership have the courage to take on AIPAC and say, no more U.S. military aid for Israel? And he posts this this image. This is an opinion piece that says Democrats need to understand that opinions on Israel are changing fast. Yeah, they're not just changing on the Democratic side, they're also changing on the Republican side, but not fast enough. The elites that be, the people are speaking out, journalists are speaking out, athletes are speaking out, people of all stripes are speaking out, and yet the elites are doing what the elites do, as we saw with the Jeffrey Epstein file, how that just, we were going to get the Epstein stuff, and what did we get? We got a bunch of nothing and nothing to see here. He didn't kill himself. There was no client list. Shut up and move on, is what they told us. It just can't become any clearer that we are completely controlled, and it is to serve one narrative and one narrative only. And I think that, a lot of people are waking up to this. It's just a matter of when are we going to get control back over our government and our news and our, everything. When are we, the people, going to gain control again? That is what many of us would like to know. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.